Welcome to WROL Broadcast. I am Hatemael. With me today I have Tewtytron.
Hello.
And this is the meta report. And Tewtytron's one of like three people that actually geared at him, so decided to have him on the episode, as you know how much he likes tunes that aren't that great. But this one is even bad to you. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. And it's mainly due to inconsistencies.
So what would you say your just overall feel of him is, just as a
I
character?
think I think that they kind of just screwed the pooch. He's all over the place. I think they tried to put him in a specific niche, but then they just like, oh, but let's just sprinkle in some of this and some of that as well. It was like watching the intro to the Powerpuff Girls and watching the Chemical X get dumped in, and you're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, that's what I told people, that my bar for if a tune's really bad is if you really don't like them too.
Yeah, I just okay. So you look at the paper kit, right, where you see his basic, and you're like, oh wow, that actually looks really good. Cool, I'm happy with that. And then you look at the two, and you're like, okay, that's not bad. That's pretty decent, right? And then you look at the three, and you're like, that's kind of niche. I don't know. And niche is fine for me, but it's like each character has to have a reason to bring them, and the three in action is just it does nothing. Um, and
And for those
then
of you listening, the 3 is the extra damage per stamina up on the target, which sounds like it could have been decent.
right, but they didn't really perform that well on either his gear set or whatever hidden modifiers and the stats that we don't see. I'm not sure, but the ability just doesn't hit that hard. Most of the time, if the enemy doesn't have any stamina ups, it reduces their turn meter by such and such amount. So generally, that's when I use it. Is like, okay, they don't have stamina ups. I'll just reduce their turn meter real quick and get a debuff immunity while I'm at it. Um, because that's what the legendary point does. But his first passive, his like revive, is just like it almost feels like a Mr. Miracle revive, where it's like 35% chance, so it's minimal possibility, and it's like, why even include it? Like,
Well,
I don't,
Revive didn't make any sense to me in this kit, like at all. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't fit for any reason that I could think of.
yeah.
Even
Uh,
lore-wise, it doesn't make any sense.
I did get a comment on my YouTube video. I think someone said it's basically like his version of the Flash's like treadmill, where
Okay,
he can just
good.
shrink through time, I guess. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but he time travels, and that's how he revives people. But even still, that's a stretch to me. I didn't like that passive. I think it's just ridiculously stupid. However, his second passive does kind of give him a saving grace a little bit. It offers him more turns, which is nice if you're just spamming his basic and his two. He's like survivable, and he calls assists, which is nice, but he can't hit to save his life unless it's a blue character with a ton of buffs.
And I like characters that aren't necessarily. I mean, we have plenty of damage dealers, so you don't necessarily need another hard-hitting damage dealer. But if
Right.
they're not going to be a damage dealer, they really need to have something to give them a reason to come. And I kind of had hoped that he would be useful. I'm tired of Lex teams. I'm tired of seeing them. They're
hmm
everywhere. I'd like to see a hard, maybe not hard, but at least a strong counter to them. Because I mean, Wonder Girl's really the only thing we have that's remotely a counter, and she's not even that great of a counter for them. Uh,
Right.
so I was kind of hoping that this might be, maybe run Vixen and him, and you might have something. But it really doesn't work for either one of them. I mean, Vixen's a lot better, of course, but
Yeah, she's amazing. Before I tested him, I was like, I kind of saw already that the third ability and the first passive, the revive, were like gonna be meh. But I was like, okay, well, here's the thing: if he gets turn meter like crazy, like his fifth ability, his second passive allows him to, then all I have to do is spam his basic and get enough damage off to just execute all these like high buffing characters like Azrael, Wonder Girl, Power Girl. I was hoping he would be blind to affinity. Um, Unfortunately, the crit chance is inconsistent along with the damage. His base stat is 25% crit chance, so it's a minuscule amount to begin with, and unless they have like 8 buffs, you're not going to get a whole lot out of it. So it's just, even when he does crit, it doesn't feel like it's a lot unless it's a blue.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of got that vibe. Is there any particular teams you think he might fit on?
I actually did see him excel a little bit with Miss Martian, believe it or not. Like him shielding and calling assist and removing debuffs, and her shielding and calling assist and removing debuffs. Like, it doesn't exactly synergize, but just the doubling up on survivability, the call assists, like getting thrown out left and right. I think both of those abilities are on a ridiculously short cooldown. Not only that, but just like your team's shield goes from like 0 to 100 pretty quick. So like with those two together, I don't see them ever being really an issue. I was even doing it in Siege. But other than that, there's nothing really like, you can't buff your enemy team unless it's like adding a taunt. So I don't know. There's nothing really synergistic about him.
Yeah, I did see when I was watching Chosen stream him facing a team that had Adam with under St. Walker, and Miss Martian was on the team. And he was doing okay. I mean, I faced him a number of times, and I never feared buffing, never feared, like, he didn't exist as far as I was concerned. Like, he never did anything.
Exactly.
That one Chosen fight, and I think Chosen ran like a heavy blue team. I can't remember exactly what he ran, but I think Azrael was on the team, so he was lighting them up. So it was kind of a hidden thing, but I don't know. He does seem like what would you say, he's a C or a trash tier character?
I would say a C. I find it really difficult to really call anyone a trash tier character. However, the call assist and the debuff purge is good. The chance to revive isn't the greatest, but just because it exists and he doesn't have to be a leader is kind of nice. The fact that he gets a lot of turns to shorten up his second ability is also kind of nice. So I don't want to put him trash. I think he's a decent support character, but he'll never be more than decent until a rework comes along.
I can't decide if I'm going to gear him or not. I think I'm going to hold off. He might be semi-useful in raids, being that this is going to be, I mean, especially if the end boss is blue on one of the days, and he's X5, but I'm not even sure he's going to be worth it even for raids. So I'm kind of going to wait.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I'm going to be a little sassy ho for a minute. I think that I'm very happy with his debut anyway, because now all of the Adam stans out there who were like begging for him for months can now feel my pain. That I waited 2 years for a Ra's al Ghul rework, and I basically had to force feed it to them. So I'm very I think it was a good month because we all needed like a slow gear or someone to just not care about. But the sass I felt when he was kind of garbage and everyone was like, "Oh, I love Adam, he's so great," and then he's like, garbage. Not garbage, but
it's kind of like what they did to you with Vandal Savage right afterwards.
Yeah, right beforehand. I was like, are you kidding me? You rework my Ra's, which is great, but you give me my other character that I've been begging for years, and you're like, sorry, pal, you still suck in our eyes.
Well, all right, well, I guess we'll kind of leave it there. And so any of you out there, if you're tight on resources, Adam's probably not your first pick unless he's a favorite character of yours, but it sounds like you can make him work if you really want to play him. So
that's a good assessment.
With that, we are signing off. Thanks for listening.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Tewtytron, and right now there are a number of great charities that you could donate to help those affected by the coronavirus, like the ones supporting bartenders and servers like myself, while we are currently all unemployed. But more urgently, you can become a patron to WROL broadcasts and get early reviews of new characters before sales end. Just go to patreon.com/WROL broadcasts for more details. Hey, Bullsy, who's your favorite character? Who?
Hawkman!